I should have recognized the danger. That afternoon, the grand hall was deserted. The lord and lady were away. The steward was stuck deep in the cellar and the cook had gone to the highest floors. For the first time in months, I was utterly by myself. Sunlight poured through the stained glass windows, illuminating the floor in vibrant patches of red and blue. The polished tiles felt cool beneath my bare feet, and for a fleeting instant, I wasn't a maid anymore. I was a noble lady. I closed my eyes and started to twirl. My stiff work dress wrapped around my legs. I glided on my toes across the slick stone, holding my arms up high like the graceful dancers I'd peeked at during secret balls. A tiny, quiet giggle escaped my lips. It was foolish, but I couldn't stop. I had watched the real ladies drift like swans in this room, and I longed to feel that magic just for a moment. I let down my hair, lifted my chin with a proud, dusty look, and spun faster and faster. Then came the voice that turned my blood to ice. "What do you imagine you are doing?" Lady Eleanor was standing in the archway, I tell you. Her golden gown blazed like fire, and her mouth was a razor-thin line that could cut glass. 2 other maids lurked behind her, girls who must have raced to find me and summon their mistress. My heart stopped cold. "You have forgotten your place," she hissed, spinning around on my floor like some dispossessed daughter of the estate. "My lady, I didn't mean any harm. You meant to mock us. You meant to dream above your station." She moved around me like a hunting cat. "And in this house, such dreams come with a steep, steep price." I shook my head wildly. "Please, it was only a minute. I was just playing." "This is not a ballroom," she declared with a chill in her voice. "It is a lesson. And you, girl, will learn it with every nerve." She glanced at the other maids. 4 of them now surrounded me. The young women I worked beside daily had suddenly become my captors. "Tear off her shoes. Pin her down," I fought back desperately. I knew with a rush of tears that nothing I did mattered. They forced me onto that same polished floor. My wrists were jammed above my head and my ankles were held firmly apart. My brown maid's dress was pulled up just enough to expose my legs and feet. I was utterly helpless. Lady Eleanor knelt next to me, a cruel smirk twisting her lips. "You moved so elegantly a moment ago," she cooed. "Let's see how you move now." Her fingertip traced the curve of my instep, a mere breath of contact. I instantly convulsed, my body betraying my terror before I could stop it. She let out a dark, satisfied chuckle. I was right, wasn't I?" Then she began in earnest. Eleanor leaned over me on the cold stone, her golden dress spilling around her like molten gold. I was flat on my back, completely vulnerable, 1 maid holding my wrist, another pinning my ankles. My dress was shifted to reveal my calves and shins. My bare feet shook with raw fear. The mistress smiled at me with terrible composure. "Let's strip every trace of the noble lady from your very bones." She reached out and began to stroke the sole of my right foot, slowly tormenting the sensitive spots. I screamed as a wild, cracking giggle burst from my throat before I could brace myself. My entire body arched and shook. "Ah, yes," she breathed with pure satisfaction. "This is exactly what we need." She didn't stop with a gentle touch. Her fingers mercilessly tickled my arch, wriggled under my toes, and danced around my heel with expert precision. My choke quickly turned into an uncontrollable, desperate torrent of laughter. My back arched violently, but the maids held me firm. Lady Eleanor called out smoothly without looking up. "Join me. You won't believe what happened next." 4 of them dropped to the floor around me. The girls I scrubbed floors next to and shared meager food with were now my calculated tormentors. 1 girl gripped each of my feet, holding them perfectly still while their nails mercilessly dragged across every ticklish curve. I shrieked with laughter and tried desperately to twist free all at once. Another maid straddled my thighs, her fingers lightly digging into my stomach, circling my navel and darting up my sensitive sides. The 4th positioned herself near my head, gripping my arms tightly as my body slammed violently against the stone. "Release her company," the mistress commanded. "Let her body confess what her lips will not." Their fingers never paused. 10 hands on my feet, ribs, waist. Every inch of me shuddered and writhed, completely exposed and utterly betrayed. I screamed, laughed, and wept. There was no air left in my lungs and no strength remaining. My body was nothing but raw sensation trapped in a hurricane of uncontrolled laughter and far too many hands. "Do you still feel like a lady?" Lady Eleanor whispered directly into my ear, her fingers now aggressively attacking my armpits. "Or do you remember who you are now?" I couldn't form a word. I couldn't even speak. My laughter died into whimpers, my tears soaking the cold stone beneath me. My entire body convulsed as those claws raked every single vulnerable patch of skin. I kicked in vain, bound by their grip, my own muscles in complete humiliation. The sound of that agonizing laughter echoed through the great hall, the place I had once dreamed in, now a place I would never, ever forget. Finally, Lady Eleanor raised her hand. "Enough!" They stopped instantly. I collapsed, totally limp, gasping for air, shaking uncontrollably. My body burned from the inside out, every nerve still screaming. Lady Eleanor's expression was utterly unreadable. "Now, remember your true place in this house," she said with a coldness that rivaled the Arctic. "And if you ever dance again, think first of how easily we can make your body sing without music." She walked away. The other maids stood silently and followed their mistress, leaving me on the stone, sweating, broken, and exposed. They never mentioned the incident again. The grand hall was waxed and cleaned as if my punishment had never occurred. I was immediately ordered to resume my duties. And I did, but I never once stepped barefoot on that floor again. I worked, I obeyed. I kept my head down, but deep inside something had changed forever. I still danced, but only in the secret confines of my mind. And one day, when the perfect moment arrived, I left that house and never looked back. Because I was not property and I was not theirs.